Good evening. At this time, we'd like to call the City of Tuscaloosa Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting to order. Today's date is October 28th, 2024. It's 5 p.m. I'm Michelle Coley. I'm the chair. We'll introduce the board, starting with Mr. Hamner.
Marty Hamner, Paul Rollins Jr.,
Linda Ford.
Joseph Eatman Sr.
We'd like to introduce our staff to you that will be assisting us this evening. From the Department of Urban Development, Emily Hayes, Associate Director of Planning, Jonathan Bowen, Neighborhood Resources Coordinator, and from the Office of the City Attorney, Ms. Kim King, Associate City Attorney, and Mr. Kelvin Jones, who's in the back helping with video production. I think he's just stepped out. The Board of Adjustments does not have the authority to enact zoning laws or special exceptions, nor does the board have authority to rule on claims of equal protection of the law or the fairness or unfairness of any zoning ordinance. Now, by virtue of state law and city ordinances, the purpose of the ZBA is as follows. Hear appeals from decisions of the zoning officer of the city. Grant special exceptions to the zoning code in accordance with the terms as established by the city council therein. Grant variances from the terms of the zoning code when, owing to the special conditions, a literal enforcement of the code would result in unnecessary hardship. No one factor determines what is an unnecessary hardship, but all relevant factors, when taken together, must indicate that the plight of the property in question is unique in that it cannot be put reasonably to a conforming use because of the limitations imposed upon it by reason of its classification in a specified zone. Now, my working definition of an unnecessary hardship is as follows. The property cannot be put to any reasonable use under its current zoning classification. It must be a unique and peculiar difficulty relating to the property of a serious and significant nature. It must relate to the property and not to any personal issues. This includes economic, financial gain, or loss. A variance may not be granted where the property owner merely suffers a financial loss of a kind that is common to all the property owners in the area. Circumstances that are not hardships, self-inflicted or self-created, inconvenient, or personal. The Zoning Board of Adjustments, by virtue of state law and City of Tuscaloosa ordinance, does not have the jurisdiction or authority to consider, interpret, and or enforce any term or condition of subdivision covenants and or homeowner association rules or regulations. These matters are therefore not relevant areas of inquiry by the board on any petition. Such covenants or regulations are between the private parties involved and not the ZBA. That having been said, any decision made by the ZBA on any particular case does not necessarily preclude the enforcement of such subdivision covenants and or HOA rules or regulations by other lawful means. Now, this is a public hearing. It is being recorded, videotaped, and is streaming live on the city's website, Facebook, as well as local cable TV. Proper decorum, civility, and respect for others is required at all times. There are sign-up sheets outside for public comment. Up to 4 speakers will be given the opportunity to speak in favor of a petition, and up to 4 speakers will be given the opportunity to speak in opposition to a petition. All speakers will have up to 5 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. When you are at the podium, please speak directly into the microphone and state your name and address for the record. All comments should be directed to the board. No questions or comments are to be directed to city staff. I would ask city staff to confirm for the record that all the appropriate and required public and individual property owner notices for each case upon the docket of petitions now before the board have been made in accordance with the law.
Yes, it has.
Okay. Now, the following procedure will be followed for each petition. This hearing is an opportunity for the petitioner to present their case before the public to inquire and make their views known about the petition, and the board members to gather relevant facts before making its decision. City staff will introduce the petition and present facts and information to the board concerning the same. The petitioner or petitioner's designated representative will be asked to make comments and answer questions from the board. The petitioner will have up to 10 minutes unless the board allows for a longer time. 4 members of the public that are in support of the petition and 4 members of the public that are in opposition of the petition who signed up to speak will be then afforded an opportunity to make inquiries and comments. Petition response. Now, at the close of the public comments, the petitioner will be asked to respond to the comments if necessary. Any rebuttal will be allowed up to 2 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. The chair may then permit the public to respond, but only to any new issues raised by the petitioner in the rebuttal. Any responses will be allowed up to 2 minutes unless the board votes for a longer time. Now, at the close of public comment, or once the board is satisfied that it has received all relevant information on a petition, the chairman will close further comment or discussion, and the board will then discuss the matter. The chair will read into the record the motion to approve the request, along with any conditions set by the board, and the board members will commence voting. Now, 4 votes are required to approve any petition, not a simple majority of the board. Again, it takes 4 votes are required to approve any petition. Please leave signs in your yard. The staff will pick up the signs as soon as possible. Any party aggrieved by any final judgment or decision of such board of zoning adjustments may within 15 days thereafter appeal therefrom to the circuit court by filing with such board a written notice of appeal specifying the judgment or decision from which the appeal is taken. The board members have had a chance to review tonight's agenda items. Do any of the members have a conflict of interest with any of the cases on tonight's agenda? No. Okay. Have any cases been withdrawn? Okay. And we don't have the minutes, the synopsis.
We do have 2 minutes, 2 synopses. It's the
July and
August.
Okay, so we need to do those separate. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the synopsis from July.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, let's vote, starting with Mr. Hamner.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
approved. Okay, now I need a motion for August synopsis.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, voting with Mr. Hamner.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
minutes approved. Ms. King, any updated status on pending cases?
No, not at this time.
Okay, great. All right, let's get started with our presentations.
Good afternoon, board. So we do have one case that requested to withdraw before the deadline. So ZBA 11224 was withdrawn from the docket. We'll move into cases to be heard. So starting with ZBA 10124, Sarah Jane Doms petitions for a use variance to allow an accessory structure to be used as a dwelling unit on the property at 4321 Timberdale Drive. This is zoned R1 Council District 5. So here we have the zoning of the property as well as that aerial view. This is a view of the primary structure and that accessory structure that we're focused on. This is just a closer up image of that accessory structure. Applicable regulations, we're looking at section 2439, outlines accessory structures shall not be used as a dwelling at any time. So the petitioner is requesting a variance from the accessory structure regulations. That's to occupy this structure as a dwelling. Per the petitioner, the building is 25 years old. It's historically been used as a bedroom, office, and a workshop. It currently has insulated walls, air conditioning, and furniture. If this petition is approved, the petitioner will pull an electrical permit to update the building, centralized air, and also the variance will allow it to be updated and made safe for a living facility. The accessory structure will be used to house an aging and at-risk father. This requires no new construction and no change to the square footage of the structure. The next couple of slides will just lay out what the interior of the structure would look like if it were to be approved. So these are the images that were provided by the petitioner, just showing the inside and outside of that accessory structure. Moving into some additional closer up images of the inside of the accessory structure. And then here we have a proposed rendering of what some of those changes would look like, as well as that interior floor layout. We did not receive any public comments for this request, and we do have the representative here in person.
We got one email about it.
We had one email. It was more or less asking about if it were to be approved, could there be limits on the number of occupants or who would be living there? Not really in opposition or in favor of the request.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Sarah?
Question,
Yes, sir?
is this property up for discussion now?
Come up to the mic, to the podium.
So he's asking about if this is up for discussion now. So the petitioner is going to come up and speak, and then you'll have the opportunity to ask questions.
There's too much echo.
Come on. Sarah, you come on in, they're gonna tell them.
So I have 5 minutes to speak?
You have,
I don't. Yes.
You have plenty of time to speak. It's just anybody that's speaking beside you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Jane Doms. I am an owner of 4321 Timberdale Drive. And I purchased the property just over a year ago in July of 2023. When I purchased the property, it already had this structure on it, so it's on a concrete slab, and it has siding and walls and a roof. The structure itself is rapidly declining. So part of the reasoning behind this change to the structure is that I believe in the next 4 or 5 years, without any significant changes to the structure, it would have to be torn down, and it would just be a concrete slab. So part of the reason I would like to make adjustments to the structure is because right now it can be seen from the street, but if it were to be torn down, it would just be a concrete pad that would be seen from the street. And the concrete pad is completely different than the driveway that is already there. Additionally, when I purchased the house, I was in the long term hoping that this sort of a thing could happen with the structure because my parents are rapidly aging, my father in particular. My parents are together, but they are semi-estranged, so they spend some parts of the year together and some parts separate. And it is my view that as a child, I'm partially in charge of taking care of my parents, and I would like to do that with them being close by instead of putting them into an alternate living facility. But I was hoping that that would be much, much further down the line. But recently, my dad has had some severe heart issues. And this past summer, he came to visit me, and just shortly after had a pacemaker put in, and has been told by a doctor that during the winters, at the bare minimum, he should live in a warmer climate. I live here in Alabama, and my parents live in Kansas City, which, while it's not Minnesota or Michigan in terms of winters, it's definitely not warm. Most of the winter is at freezing temperatures. And since most of his heart issues are electrical, electricity just doesn't function well when it's really cold. So he's had the pacemaker put in, and prior to that, over the course of the last couple years, he's had several ablations for different electrical problems. And so I would like him to be able to come and live in this structure, at least in the winter, hopefully with my mom as well, but that kind of depends on their situation. And so that's the primary reason for making this adjustment. As far as the questions go for the petitioning section of the piece, again, it wouldn't negatively impact the view from the street. In fact, I think it would positively impact. Right now, it's hard to see the deterioration from the outside of the building, but the siding is beginning to crumble. There are the beginnings of carpenter bees burrowing into the siding, and so ideally this new structure would have better siding. Additionally, the roof has some water damage to it. I have a home warranty, and when I had the warranty people come out and look at the roof, it has holes in it, and when they, holes from limb damage. And when they tried to look at the shingles just to see the integrity of the shingles, the roofer told me that the roof is likely 25 to 30 years old. So I believe that is how old the structure is. I'm not sure. But because of that, I'm worried that the roof itself, the water infiltrating the roof, will significantly increase that level of damage. So those are the main reasons behind this change to the structure.
Okay, so you're asking for a variance.
Yes.
And so with a variance, you have to prove to us that there's a hardship, meaning that you can't do anything else with this piece of property. You can't use it in any other way. And so you need to state the hardship for us.
To me, the hardship is the fact that my father's health is deteriorating. So I would like him to be able to come and live with me.
And we do understand that, and I commend you for wanting to make plans to take care of your father, but that would be a personal that's something that's personal, and it's not a hardship to the property, meaning that you can't use that property any other way. That's what a variance, that's what you're requesting, that you can't use this piece of property any other way, you can't do anything else with this. And so it can be just used as storage, it could just be torn down. There are other things you can do with it other than just turn it into this one thing. So that's what in order to grant you a variance, you have to show us a hardship that's not financial, it's not personal.
I understand.
Any other questions?
Can I see a street view again, please? I know this is a stretch, and I admire so much what you're doing, or trying to do for your parents, your dad specifically. If it were possible, there was any way that you could connect your home to that dwelling, and you heat and cool that area, then that would be acceptable.
So
But having two separate dwelling places on a residential lot, I'm sorry, I have a difficult trying to see through that.
So if the buildings were connected, what constitutes a connection?
I'm sorry?
What constitutes a connection?
It has to, well, the city, I'll address that to
We
the city.
could work with you outside of this meeting.
Yeah, the city would have to work with you on that, and they'll be more than happy to talk to you and walk you through, and you probably can get an architect that can show you how to do that.
I mean, I realize, that's why I wanted to look again at it. I did drive by this one, but it is a space between that. But we have seen that in the past if it was connected and it was heated and cooled, whatever walkway or area, that would be allowed.
And she wouldn't have to come back before us
No.
on anything involving that.
We would still need to review a site plan, so
Oh,
we can't confirm at this meeting tonight, but we could definitely work with you.
just a thought.
So would we like to have her withdraw it, or do we need to still vote on it?
It's ultimately up to the board and.
So it would be up to you if you want to withdraw your petition and then talk with the city and then come back before us, or you can have us rule on it this evening.
The difference being, and I'll tell you, if you were to withdraw it, then you could come back next month. You could come back 2 months. If they were to deny it, you'd have to wait 6 months to come back with this exact same proposal.
Okay. And the other option? Sorry, I'm a little confused.
So withdrawing it just basically means you're taking it out of their hands, and we could talk tomorrow. If it's determined that, hey, you would rather move forward with this, you can come back next month or whenever.
I would suggest withdrawing to lessen the time, and then we can proceed from there.
Yeah, for now, I'd like to withdraw.
Okay, so
I make them, Sean, there's someone that wants to speak.
if it's withdrawn, then we don't need to continue anything else about it, right?
Right. So you will need to make a motion to approve the withdrawal.
Okay, I make a motion that ZBA 10124 is withdrawn.
Second.
Okay, voting with Mr. Hamner?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Withdrawal approved. So the person who signed up to speak for or against, in opposition, we won't see any public comment right now because the petition has been withdrawn. All right, Ms.
All right. Next case is ZBA 10224, T-Town Ventures, Michael Beavis, petitions for a variance from the residential setback regulations. This is at 2 Sherwood Drive, zoned R18, Council District 4. Here we have the zoning of the property as well as that aerial view, and then a view of the house from the road. Here's an additional view showing just the carport driveway area. The applicable regulations, this is section 2435 for the required side yard in this zoning district. Per the petitioner is requesting a variance to construct a 2-car garage in addition in the place of an original carport. A neighbor's tree fell and destroyed the original carport. The original structure was 7 feet 9 inches from the property line, and the new structure will be 3 feet 11 inches from the property line. According to a structural engineer that was examined through the petitioner, the existing carport slab must be removed and be replaced. The original carport was built in 1951. It was not functional due to the size, location, and the elevated planters that you will see in the coming images. According to the petitioner, the variance would allow the garage to be built in the backyard. It would also allow connection to the house. The petitioner states that this variance will also allow the garage and driveway to be functional and accessible, and it will also mitigate parking on the street. So we'll look at just a couple of images, and then we'll also look at the proposed renderings of what the petitioner is requesting. So here you can see this on top of your screen. That was the original carport. Neighbor's tree fell and ultimately destroyed that covered carport area. The slab underneath the carport that you see on the right side, the structural engineer has determined that that should be removed. And here's that structural analysis regarding the damage to the existing driveway carport area. And here we have a site plan that shows the original outline of the carport as well as the proposed addition on top. I'm going to zoom in because it does call out. So the original carport slab, you can see it's this dashed line just above here. The new structure will be located just here. I'll draw that a little bit clearer. So the original carport slab was 7 feet away. This new addition will be 3 feet away from the property line. Here we have a couple of images and renderings of what that addition is going to look like. You can see the garage area on the bottom, and then on top, this will be a loft area that's going to connect to the primary structure through this covered breezeway here. And then here we have a couple of the proposed renderings for both the front and the back side of the house. And this is it from the side as well. This application will also have to be approved by the Historic Preservation Commission at the following meeting. For tonight, I do not believe we had any public comments for this request, and we do have the representative here in person.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions for the city? Okay. T-Town Ventures?
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm Michael Beavis, and I'm the property owner of 2 Sherwood Drive. As you guys can see, we had a tree destroy the carport. 110-foot tree fell all the way across, destroyed the backyard and our carport. The original 2-vehicle carport was 22 foot wide by 24 foot deep. And as Jonathan told you, the setbacks were 7'9" and 7'4" on the corners. We're asking for an additional 1 foot 10 and 2 foot 5 inches off those original setbacks of the original layout. We need that in order to get you need a minimum of 24 feet to get a 2-car garage in, because With a carport, you can open the doors and not hit anything. But with a garage, you're obviously, when you open the door, you're gonna hit, you got walls. So we need an additional 2 feet. We cannot go to the back or to the side because you're behind the house at that point. It's 30 foot wide, but the extra 6 feet of the 30 is to connect the house and make it a part of the structure. So if the exemption is granted, as you can see, I'm not sure Jonathan mentioned that, but the driveway is narrow now, and so what we would like to do, if it's approved, is widen that driveway to allow access, a much better access. The way it was designed originally, you really couldn't access that left side with a carport with a modern-day vehicle, and it'll allow cars to park, into the drive and allow you to be able to get in and out of a drive rather than just block in a single drive. Most of the older homes have small, narrow drives, and it doesn't allow multiple cars to park in the drive and get in and access it. So while I understand it's going past the setback, it allows us to, get a 2-car garages, which the original design of the house intent was for a 2-car parking. And so I think within the spirit of the original design, it kind of goes with what the intent of the house was for 2 cars. So we're asking for that additional footage to be able to get that garage in there. And you can see Nathan is here. He's also a representative that did the plans, and he did a great job making it look like it's part of the house. It sets down below the house and beyond the house, so it doesn't come into play. And also on the back side of the property is a wooded area. There's no development or houses back there, so it won't impact those.
How old is your home? How old is the home?
The house was built in 1951.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
So
built in
cars at that time were a little bit smaller than.
Well, yeah, they may have been bigger, but I'm not sure how they got out of that carport, especially with no power steering. If you see the planter that's there, we removed the air conditioner unit, which you maybe saw in one of those pictures because people were backing out and could hit it. I'm not sure why it was put there, but just like you guys to consider all the stuff we put in the petition and grant this request. So.
Any questions for the petitioner?
The loft area upstairs,
Yes.
is that going to be used as a living quarters?
At this point, I'm not sure. I have a son that goes to school here. I have another one coming. My wife claims that we're going to move down here when the last one. But as of now, I don't have plans. It could be an office. For me, I have a business. I can work remotely. Or I'm not sure, it could be a bedroom. We come down on game days and stay. My son is in school here now, so.
Is the house occupied now?
It is. My son is there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is. And we come down on the weekends and go to games.
Well, I appreciate the historic value of this home, and I think you're very fortunate to be in a historic district, and you have a setback, because I live in a historic district. I have no setback,
Oh, wow.
so I can't do anything.
All right.
And I do appreciate the wall and the landscaping and the trees behind. I don't think this will be detrimental to the neighborhood.
Did you have any plumbing in that? I didn't see it in the design. Was there a bathroom or anything to be put up there?
Yeah, on the lower floor, we do have a bathroom. That door, that faces the backyard, so there is design for plumbing in the backyard, just the access for it being outside and so forth.
So this is a question for the city. We're just voting on the setback, correct? So not usage of the addition or anything like that?
Yep, so I did want to point out here, and I'll see if we can circle it. So this is actually an addition to the primary structure, so it could be occupied just like a bedroom in the house. That was one thing that we wanted to call out on the plans, and they do a good job of calling that out, that it is going to be in a heated and cooled space to connect to the house.
And it does connect nicely. In some of the pictures, I'm not sure if it showed that, but there's a gable off the back, that back walkway to the porch that comes off the kitchen that connects that. So it would connect seamlessly to the other structure there, yeah.
How many bedrooms does the property currently have?
The bedroom currently has four bedrooms.
So would you ever consider short-term rental?
No, no, that's not the purpose of it, no.
And if it's approved by us today and it has to go through HPC, what will HPC be looking at? Are they looking at just materials or?
The materials, the design itself.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Beavis. Okay, we don't have anyone signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this petition? At this time, we'll close public comment and start with board comment. Mr. Eatman?
Yeah, I mean, the original carport was knocked down. I don't see any issue with it. I don't have an issue.
I think I already stated how I felt about it. I have no problem with it. I don't think it's detrimental to the neighborhood, and I think where it is located is fine.
And I do see the hardship with needing to widen the driveway and to be able to get your cars in and out and to use the property as it was designed originally, so I do see that.
I agree with the board chair. I can see the hardship being where the structural integrity of the previous concrete slab was compromised. I'm in favor.
I'm in favor and agree. All points made.
At this time, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-102-24, T-Town Ventures LLC, Michael Bevis, petitions for a variance from the residential setback regulations on the property located at 2 Sherwood Drive, Zone R-1H, Council District 4. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
Next case is ZBA 103-24. James Michael Ryan petitions for a use variance to allow temporary parking of recreational vehicles. This is at 2107 9th Street, Zone BGO, DROD, in the Council District 4. So here we have the zoning of that property as well as an aerial view. And this is a close-up image of Jack Mack located just downtown. And then here we have the applicable regulations for temporary off-street parking of recreational vehicles. So the petitioner is requesting a use variance from those regulations to park recreational vehicles, RVs, on this lot during the Alabama football season. According to the petitioner, Jack Mack has parked RVs on site for the last 20 years. The current owner purchased the company from the original owners back in March of 2022 and then became the sole owner of the company back in August of this year. So the RVs, how they will operate, they will set up on site at 4:30 after Jack Mack closes on Friday, and they will leave the property on Sunday mornings. Per the petitioner, the RVs will park on site and should not affect the neighboring homes. So we did actually receive this through a complaint that the RVs were parking across the street, not necessarily on Jack Mack's site. We haven't received any additional issues for the RVs parking on Jack Mack's site. We did not receive any public comment for this request, and we do have the applicant here in person.
All right, any questions for the city? Thank you.
Thanks.
James Michael Ryan.
Hey, I'm James Michael Ryan. I'm the owner of Jack Mack Tire Company. We've been in business 54 years. At the current location, 52 years, from my understanding. Again, I bought the property from Mackie Deason 2.5 years ago, and then bought out my partner this year in August. The RVs have been parking there before I took over. I assumed everything was okay, didn't know that there was a zoning issue with it. So it was brought to my attention this year. That's why I'm before you today.
Any questions for the petitioner? You do understand they have to park on the Jack Mack property, and they can't park across the street?
Yeah, they pulled across the street before they moved over because they arrived early. So they pulled over there. They had talked to Morrow, which owns that property. They said they were fine with it till they could access my property due to the end of the closing. So yeah, they were early. So
So they won't be able to do that. They have to come at 4:30. They can't, even though the property owner, because we got a complaint about it.
Right, I
So-
understand that, yes.
So they'll have to park on your property site at 4:30, so they can't get early. They might have to go drive around a little bit or something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
About how many RVs do you think can fit on? in the lot?
Most of the time, it's only 3, but I think there can be up to 6.
Any other questions?
I have a question for the city. This property has been used that way for the last 20-plus years, so other than them parking across the street, possibly blocking someone's driveway, how do we get to the point of him having to need a variance instead of this special exception? Is it due to zoning or?
It's the zoning. The zoning doesn't allow for it to be a special exception. We have seen this a number of times, a little bit further down, actually, on sites, industrial sites, business sites, where we've seen variances go through, just simply being that the special exception is just not a thing that we have right now.
Is this addressed in framework?
It is. There are some areas that will allow it as a special exception, some areas that are allowed by right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ryan.
All right, thank you.
We don't have anybody signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this petition? At this time, I'll close public comment and we'll begin board comment with Mr. Eatman.
Yeah, I mean, it's been used this way for who knows how long, and, I mean, as long as they're staying on his property, I don't see an issue with approval.
I don't have a problem with it either.
I don't either. I think it's fine.
I have no issues.
No issues.
Okay. We'll close board comment. I'll read the motion. ZBA-103-24, James Michael Ryan petitions for a use variance to allow temporary parking of recreational vehicles at 2107 9th Street, Zone BGO-DROD, Council District 4, with the condition that the RVs only park on Jack Mack property. Voting with Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
Next case is ZBA 10424, Johnny Garrison petitions for a special exception to allow motor vehicle sales agency at 5900 University Boulevard East. This property is on BN in Council District 5. So here we have an aerial view and the zoning of that property. This is a view of the property actually standing on the property. They have undergone some recent renovations, as you can see with the parking, striped parking, as well as that ADA accessible parking. Here we have the applicable regulations for a motor vehicle sales agency. The petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow for used vehicle sales. The petitioner stated that this has previously been used as a car lot in which it actually received 2 previous special exceptions for different owners. So here we have a new ownership group that is coming in and really looking to continue the use that has been previously approved. The property has those paved parking spaces for the guests, including those 2 ADA compliant spaces. The hours of operation will be from Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And according to the petitioner, he is the only person running this business. We did not receive any public comment for this request, and I believe we do have the applicant here in person.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Mr. Garrison?
Avery Nixon, I'm not Mr. Garrison, he's the landowner, and I'm just acting as a DA for this property. As stated, we're gonna, get in and do a good job. We won't have any abandoned cars or anything around there. It'll be a perfect place. It's a brand-new location. So I didn't have to do anything, but it was a turnkey deal, and I've been looking for something like this a long time. I've been in the car business for 34 years and haven't had any problems.
Any questions? Did you state your name and your address?
Yes, ma'am, Ivory Nixon.
All right. No further questions.
I sent in, should have this
Yeah.
on record.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have anybody signed up to speak for or against this petition. So anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for or against? At this time, we'll close public comment and go to board comment. Mr. Eatman?
Yeah, I mean, it's been used as a car lot before, so I don't see an issue with approving this, so I'm in favor.
I think it's a very good location for motor vehicle sales.
I think it's an improvement to the property. I knew it before when it just had a trailer on it. So to have a permanent building, I think that's an upgrade. And I do see the turnkey, so I'm in favor.
I have no issues, I'm in favor.
No issues. Favor.
All right, we'll close board comment. I'll read the motion. ZBA-104-24, Johnny Garrison petitions for a special exception to allow a motor vehicle sales agency at 5900 University Boulevard East, Zone BN, Council District 5. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
petition approved.
All right, we'll move over to our short-term rentals. So ZBA 10524, Charles Whitney petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property at 427 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This property is zoned R4, Council District 1. So here we have the zoning of the property as well as that aerial view. Then here we have an image of the surrounding short-term rentals in the adjacent area. View of the townhomes. These townhomes were recently developed. And then a view of the parking area. So the petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow short-term rental of this dwelling. Leland, Chuck, and Shannon Whitney will be the primary contacts. Leland will be located in Tuscaloosa, while Chuck and Shannon will be located in Jupiter, Florida. They will all be available 24 hours a day in case of an emergency. The petitioner currently owns a three-building commercial warehouse on 2 acres that they rent out to tenants. The house is equipped with cameras, keypad locks, and a noise detection system. It is not owner-occupied, and it will be only used by the family when it's not being rented short-term. So the house has 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. The petitioner requests 6 adults and 2 vehicles. If approved, based on the parking, staff recommends 4 adults and 2 vehicles. We did not receive any public comments for this request, and we do have the petitioner here in person.
All right, thank you. Charles Whitney?
How are you today?
Well,
Charles Whitney. Yeah, we just,
give us your address.
427 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Tuscaloosa. But I also live in Jupiter, Florida, 9295 Okamic Lane, Jupiter, Florida. We're just interested in doing some short-term rentals with the property. Mostly we will be using it, but we figured, just a little supplemental income from it, let some friends and family officially stay there, under legal ways. So that's pretty much what we're looking to do. What type of questions do you might have for me?
Did it state you had experience with short-term rental?
Not exactly with short-term rentals, but with rentals in general, with commercial rentals and stuff like that. We have a number of friends that do it quite successfully in Florida. So we're we've been around it quite a bit. We have some friends that actually run full-time, they call it agritourism. They have VRBOs and stuff like that on their properties as well. We're very good friends of them. So this will be our first foray into it. I do run my own investment firm, Whitney Wealth Management. I run multiple other businesses, so very organized, very to the point, cross the T's, dot the I's type of thing. So I understand rules, understand all that type of stuff. People type we're going to target for the VRBO, 25 and up, mature type of individuals that are going to respect the property. And that's pretty much all we're going to rent to it. And probably just not a lot, just for the game days, maybe a couple game days here and there. So not a full-time, this isn't going to be a job for me in a sense of a money situation. So.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
No, I wish I could have seen the inside of it. I saw it being constructed. But if I am very much in favor of staff recommendations. For the first year is a sort of a try it on year.
A probation.
Probation, so,
Understood.
yeah. This is kind of new to that area. I'm sure you noticed.
Yeah,
There's not any other buildings in this. I understand this is phase one. They're going to do another couple phases, so, yeah.
yeah, it's right next to the Sabin Center, right next to the amphitheater, next to the River Walk. I mean, it's a very nice
On
area.
the other side of the railroad track.
The
right?
what?
It's on the other side of the railroad track, right?
Yes,
So,
Yep.
yeah.
yep. So I went to school here. I was a alumni in 92, so, or I got here in 92, alumni in 97. So, been here, my daughter goes here now, so my son's gonna come here. So.
You're gonna have a long
we-
time.
we're- And we probably might even move here and live in this in a couple years when he graduates, so. And officially leave Florida.
Wow.
So,
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Whitney.
thank you, appreciate it. Any other questions, just let me know.
We don't have anyone signed up to speak for or against. Anyone in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? At this time, we'll close public comment and begin with board comment. Mr. Eatman?
I don't have an issue. Great improvement to the area. I'm in favor of staff recommendation of 4 adults and 2 vehicles.
I am also in favor of staff recommendation.
I'm in agreement with my fellow board members.
I agree with my fellow board members. I'm in favor.
Agree.
Okay, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-105-24, Charles Whitney petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 427 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Zone R-4, Council District 1, 4 adults, 2 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probationary period. Voting with Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
All right, next case, same property, ZBA 10624, Alex Finninger petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property at 433 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This property is zoned R4 at Council District 1. So here we have the zoning of the property as well as that aerial view. Again, the surrounding short-term rentals and another view of those townhomes in the parking area. So again, the petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a dwelling. Alex Finninger will be located in Tuscaloosa and will be the contact and be available 24 hours a day. The petitioner is a full-time property manager with Game Day Vacay, which is an STR management company. They manage over 30 properties in the Tuscaloosa County area. This house is equipped with keypad locks and a closed 2-car garage. It is not owner occupied, and it will be primarily used by the family when it's not being rented short-term. The house has 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. They are requesting 6 adults and 3 vehicles. If approved, based on the parking, staff recommends 4 adults and 2 vehicles. We did not receive any public comment for this request, and we do have the representative here in person.
All right, thank you. Alex?
How are y'all? I'm Wilson Glaze at 5390 Anna Lane, Tuscaloosa, Alabama 3540106.
My name's Alex Finninger. I'm the property manager with Game Day Vacay, and I'm at 1018 Hackberry Lane, Unit 204, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Okay. Tell us your plan.
Gotcha. Yeah, I own the management company, the ownership group. We'll use that when they're in town, working and visiting ball games, and then we'll rent it out, short-term rental. After that, in Alex 24/7 management, we have over 30 licensed properties with the city that we manage, and over 100 5-star reviews, and no negative complaints that I'm aware of.
Okay. We hadn't had any complaints or anything. Any questions?
My only question would be, you're managing it, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How would the owner feel about what the staff recommendations are?
I think they'd be in favor. It's got 2-car garage,
Right.
and there's with their additional phases, I feel there'd be additional off-street parking to maybe at some point get 6.
Well,
But
you
for
know,
right
in
now, it'd be
short-term rental, you're not allowed to park off, you're not allowed to park on the street. You have
like
to-
off-street, like within the
Right.
subdivision. Right now, there's mostly on-street additional parking, but there'll be in the future some additional off-street. Anyway.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank-
No one signed up to speak for or against. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? We'll close public comment. We'll start with board comment. Mr. Eatman?
Same property, I don't have an issue.
I'm okay with staff recommendations.
I agree as well.
I agree, I'm in favor.
In favor with staff recommendations.
Okay. We'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-106-24, Alex Finninger, petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 433 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Zone R-4, Council District 1, 4 adults, 2 vehicles, 30 nights, 1-year probationary period. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
Next case is ZBA 10724, Bama B&B Kim Roberts, petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property at 1720 12th Avenue. This property is zoned RMF2, Council District 2 as well. This property might look familiar. You have seen it at the previous 2 months. This is just a separate unit. So again, here we have those surrounding short-term rentals, and this is a view of those townhomes and the parking area. All right, so the petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the short-term rental of their dwelling. Bama B&B will be the primary contact and will be available 24 hours a day. The petitioner has over 15 years of experience as a property management company. The house will be equipped with cameras, keypad locks, lock boxes, and a noise detection system. It is not owner-occupied, and it will be used for extended stay reservations when it's not being rented short-term. The house has 3 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms. The petitioner requests 8 adults and 4 vehicles. Based on the parking, staff recommends 6 adults and 3 vehicles. We did not receive any public comment for this request, and we do have the applicant here in person.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
And all the ones we've approved have been 6 and 3. Ms. Roberts, come on down.
Hello, Kim Roberts, 13752 Westlake Drive. Actually, I thought we had changed that when they explained that we had to go with 3 bedrooms, so we're fine with that, with the restrictions of the 6 adults and 3 vehicles. So, are there any questions I can answer?
No, we've seen this property and we've seen you.
It's beautiful.
And so it should be quick.
Thank you.
Thank you. No one signed up to speak for or against. Anyone in the audience like to speak for or against this petition? All right, we'll close public comment and begin with board comment.
I have no issue with this property.
I'm in favor of staff recommendations.
I feel like we've approved all of these by now. So I don't see any problem with it.
I have no issues, I'm in favor.
No issues, in favor.
All right, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. So ZBA-107-24, Bama B&B, Kim Roberts, petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 1720 12th Avenue, Zone RMF-2, Council District 2. That's 6 adults, 3 vehicles for 30 nights, 1-year probation. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
All right, next case is ZBA 10824, Bama B&B Kim Roberts, petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property within a historic district. This is at 15 Oakwood Court, Zone R3H, Council District 4. Here we have the zoning of the property, as well as that aerial view. This is an image of all the surrounding short-term rentals in the area. And then here we have an image of the house, as well as that parking area. The petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a dwelling. The B&B rentals will be the primary contact and be available 24 hours a day. The petitioner has over 15 years of experience as a property management company. The house is equipped with cameras, keypad locks, lock boxes, and a noise detection system. It is not owner occupied, and it will be used for extended stay rentals when it's not being rented short term. The house has 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. The petitioner is requesting 8 adults and 4 vehicles, and if approved, staff recommends 8 adults and 4 vehicles. We did receive 7 emails in opposition to this petition, and we have the representative here in person.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Roberts?
Kim Roberts, 13752 Westlake Drive. The family that owns this house has done a complete renovation of the house, and it's gorgeous, and so they will be managing it for them full-time. They live in another state, and so it does have a large driveway, so it can very easily accommodate 4 cars.
And it's not owner occupied right now?
It is not.
You know what I'm going to say? Can you go back to the driveway? Because I really have a problem with 4 vehicles in that driveway. Yeah,
There's plenty of room. We've been parking over there. And
oh, yes, you could probably get 6.
Probably could.
I mean, you could.
But I think
But that's not
I
the,
don't think there's a sidewalk, so I don't think you could do that.
and this city says that 4 is good.
So it's, you can stack a driveway?
Correct. The Office of the City Engineer looked at it, and the width of the driveway would allow for 2 cars and then 2 right behind them.
But not trucks, because if there were 2 trucks, there's no way they could even open their door.
So with the way that this is kind of angled, if it were to be a little bit straighter, if that truck were to move over, it would still allow for a truck per.
It's a deep driveway. If you look all the way toward the back, you can see the fence back there, so it's a deep
Oh, yeah, depth,
driveway.
I'm not, I was looking at width.
Yeah, it's plenty wide and plenty deep.
Any more questions for Ms. Roberts? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have anyone signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this petition? Okay, we'll close public comment, and we'll begin with board comment. Mr. Eatman?
I don't see an issue with it. I would like for us to stay consistent like we've been doing on properties the last few months and go 6 and 3 if possible. But other than that, I don't have an issue.
I know that we received quite a few emails on this. I have to agree with Mr. Eatman. I think if allowed, that 6 and 3 for the first year probation would be what I would recommend.
I agree with, when you get a lot of opposition from the community, when you're dealing with a short-term rental, I think we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful of the surrounding community, and so if you start a little bit smaller, they don't kind of introduce it where they don't have any problems, then when you come back for renewal and you ask for the 8 and 4, then by that time they've had a chance to see what it's like. They might not even know when you actually rented it. And as long as there are no 311 calls or any complaints, then it shouldn't be a problem. So I'm okay with starting out with 6-3, and then that's been our trend to kind of introduce it, especially when there's opposition in a neighborhood.
Yeah, I have no issues. I'm in favor with staff recommendations or reducing it down to 6 and 3.
Yeah, I'm in favor of 6 and 3. I do know there is a cul-de-sac on the other side of this home, and it is narrow because it's an old neighborhood. So if people don't want to stack and they park on the street, you will have some of that kind of tight going through there on a game day time. But I'm in favor of the 6-3 recommendation.
Okay.
And probation.
Okay, we'll close board comment, and I'll read the petition. Ms. Roberts, will you be okay with 6-3? Okay. ZBA-108-24, Bama B&B, Kim Roberts petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property in a historic district located at 15 Oakwood Court, Zone R-3H, Council District 4, 6 adults, 3 vehicles for 30 nights, 1 year probation. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
Next case is ZBA 10924, John Walters petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property. This is at 805 Almond Avenue, Zone BGO DROD, Council District 4. Here we have the zoning of the property as well as that aerial view. And then here we have an image of all the short-term rentals in the general area. It's a view of that house off of Almond Avenue, and then a picture of that parking area. It is a shared driveway with the adjacent neighbor. The petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a dwelling. Crystal Walters will be the primary contact and be available 24 hours a day. The petitioner, they also manage one short-term rental on Lake Tuscaloosa, so they do have experience with our rules and regulations. The house is equipped with cameras, Ring doorbells, as well as a keypad lock. The house is not owner-occupied, and it will be used by the family when it's not being rented short-term. The house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The petitioner requests 7 adults and 4 vehicles. If approved, staff recommends 4 adults and 2 vehicles based off the parking and based off the shared drive agreement. We did not receive any public comment for this request, and we do have the applicant here in person.
All right, thank you. Mr. Walters?
Hey, how are y'all? My name is John Walters, and 805 Almond Avenue is the house. My wife and I live here in town on a farm, and we stay at the house a good bit and love walking downtown, and we just wanted to share it with other people. We have parked. This weekend, we had 2,500, a 1,500, and a Denali parked in that parking. You can't all leave, though. You got to go out in the same order you came in. Besides that, we love staying here. Taco Mama's getting me fat, but, I mean, it's a good place. We love and hope to get to share it with some other people, so.
The biggest thing about this property is that with the parking you're talking about, going with short-term rentals, people are more likely once they come out to stay on the street. And so that's why we would like to limit the number of cars so that
Yes, ma'am.
more likely they'll go back in and park. And they can't park in the driveway, so you can't have anybody in that driveway.
That's correct. We share it with the law firm beside us. We've stayed there now for 3 or 4 months, well, about 3 months. On game days, they have 1 or 2 people come in. It's very important for both of us to not block the drive. Once the drive ends, it splits off. And so if anybody stops before the split, no one can get in and out. So we made sure all of our parking spots are going to be up past the split, and then they can actually park 4 or 5 behind their building.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Walters.
Great, thank you.
We don't have anyone signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? We'll close public comment and begin board comment with Mr. Eatman.
Considering the shared drive of the 2 properties, I'm in favor of staff recommendation of 4 adults and 2 vehicles.
Yeah, considering this is the first year, this is going to be short-term rental, I'm in favor also of staff recommendations.
I'm in favor as well of 4 and 2 with the condition no parking in the driveway.
I have no issues. I'm in favor of staff recommendations.
No issues.
All right, close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-109-24, John Walters petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 805 Almond Avenue, Zone BGO-DROD, Council District 4, 4 adults, 2 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probation, with the condition no parking in the driveway. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
Next case is ZBA 11024, Portia Spencer petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property at 717 30th Avenue East. This property is zoned RD1, Council District 5. Here we have an aerial view and zoning of that property. We did not have any short-term rentals in the general area. And then here we have the property. So this is the front side of the property. The parking is actually off the alley that's connected on the opposite side. You can see here, this is where they park the cars. The petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a dwelling. Portia Spencer will be the primary contact and be available 24 hours a day. The petitioner has experience with short-term rentals or rental properties in Selma, Alabama. The house is equipped with cameras and keypad locks. It is owner-occupied, and the petitioner will stay with their parents when the property is being rented short-term. The house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. They're requesting 6 adults and 4 vehicles. Based off of the parking area, staff recommends 6 adults and 3 vehicles. We did not receive any public comment for this request, and we do have the representative here in person.
Okay, thank you. Portia Spencer?
Good evening. Portia Spencer, 717 30th Avenue East, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Just petition for a short-term rental.
Talk about your experience in Selma. You do short-term rental or just?
Long-term. My dad owns a property up there, and I do the management for him. And my stepmom also has a company that buys and rents property. They have plenty of property in Tuscaloosa, in Selma. And so I help her sometimes as well.
And you'll have posted rules and regulations in the property?
Yes, yes. And I can email, if y'all need me to, email the rules that we're proposing for the
As long as you
rental.
know to have them posted. Any other questions for Ms. Spencer? Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have anyone signed up to speak for or against. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? Okay, we'll close public comment and begin with board comment. Mr. Eatman?
I'm in favor of staff recommendation of 6 and 3.
I also am okay with staff recommendation, especially because of where the drive is located off of the side of the house. I have no problem with that.
I have no problem with the 6 and 3. The only thing is making sure that they don't park in that little alleyway, that they park in the driveway and not on the street. I can easily see somebody just pulling up, so make sure if we get approved, I have that condition on it.
I have no issues. I'm in favor.
No issues.
All right, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-110-24, Portia Spencer petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 717 30th Avenue East, Zone RD-1, Council District 5, with 6 adults, 3 vehicles, 30 nights, 1-year probation, condition to have to park in driveway and no on-street parking or in the alley parking. Voting with Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
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 Petition is approved.
Next case is ZBA 111-24. Greg Johnson petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 4540 45th Street East, Zone R3, Council District 6. So here we have the zoning of the property and the aerial view. There is one short-term rental across Hargrove Road East in the general area. And then here we have an image of the primary structure and that parking area. So the petitioner is requesting a special exception to short-term rent this dwelling. Ryan Johnson will be the primary contact and be available 24 hours a day. The petitioner is actually located out of Colorado, but they do have a local contact to handle all emergencies. The petitioner does not have experience with short-term rentals. The house is equipped with cameras and keypad locks. It is not owner-occupied, and it will remain vacant when it's not being rented short-term. The house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The petitioner requests 6 to 8 adults and 3 vehicles, but if approved, based on the parking, staff recommends 4 adults and 2 vehicles. We did receive at least 3 emails in opposition to this petition, and we have a representative here in person.
Okay, thank you. Greg Johnson?
How are y'all doing this afternoon or evening? Yeah, my son, I'm representing my son, Ryan.
State your name and your address for us, please.
The address is 45 45th Street, East, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35405. I live in Enterprise, Alabama.
Okay.
I'm here representing because he moved to.
So state your name and your address for the record.
Norman Greg Johnson, 3220 County Road 156, Enterprise, Alabama, 36330.
Thank you.
So he tells me to come here and answer a few quick questions and I'll be out, but I think that's a little different. But I had, what he already said was what I was sitting there jotting down because he gave me not much of anything to say except what he already said. We're trying to get short.
Who's going to be the contact in town?
Johnny Davis. You need his phone number?
Mm-mm.
He's a good friend of my son's. He teaches at Hillcrest High School.
Okay, so he'll be on call if anything
Yes,
happens. Okay.
yes.
Any other questions? And your son doesn't have any experience with short-term rental?
No, he decided to take a job in Denver, Colorado back in January. And so we're just trying to see if we can get it going. Like I said, we come up to football games, and matter of fact, I stayed there last night and stayed there 2 weeks ago. So family and friends, we come all along and stay in it. But he also will be off the whole month of December. That's one reason he wanted to keep all his stuff and keep the house intact because he'll have to live there in December and probably a week or two in January when they shut down.
Any more questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we don't have anyone that signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? Okay, we'll close public comment and start with board comment. Mr. Eatman?
Although there's only one, currently in the area, 4 and 2, I don't see an issue, so I'm gonna be in favor.
I'm also in favor of staff recommendations.
This one is I don't have a problem with it, but it's real, just kind of, But I don't really see a reason not to do it, but I'm with the staff recommendations of 4 and 2.
I'm in favor of staff recommendations.
Yes, I agree with the staff recommendations, 4 and 2.
Okay. All right, so we'll close board comments. I'll read the petition. ZBA-111-24, Greg Johnson petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 4540 45th Street East, Zone R-3, Council District 6, 4 adults, 2 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probation, beginning with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
All right, so the next 3 properties are actually all under one development, so we're going to present them the same. We'll have 3 separate motions, one for each case.
Okay.
So it's ZBA 113-24, ZBA 114-24, and ZBA 115-24.
We just vote on them separate. 3.
Vote on them separate, yes.
Okay.
So it's, the requests are exactly the same, but we'll do 3 individual motions at the end. So Brooks Mache petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 833 21st Avenue East, 2024 8th Place East, and 2032 8th Place East, zoned MX3, Council District 5. So here we have the zoning of the property as well as aerial view, and our maps don't quite show it, but the 2 other properties in question are located here. Same development, just different townhomes. As you can see, that this was developed in a 2-phase. So the first phase, you have a couple of short-term rentals there. This is the second phase that just recently, within the last year or so, has been developed and completed. But here are the surrounding short-term rentals in the general area. And then here we have a couple of close-up images of those townhomes to be short-term rented. And then image of the parking area on both sides here. So the petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the short-term rental of each dwelling. Brooks Mache will be the primary contact and will be available 24 hours a day. The petitioner does not have experience with the short-term rentals. However, the petitioner works with residential leasing and is familiar with the other 7 short-term rentals that are located on site. The houses are equipped with security cameras and electronic locks. They are not owner occupied, and they will be rented long-term when they're not being rented short-term. Each house has 3 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms. The petitioner requests 6 adults and 3 vehicles, and if approved based on the parking, staff recommends 6 adults and 3 vehicles. We did not receive any public comment for this application, and we do have the representative here in person.
Okay, so the parking spaces, are they assigned?
So, to my knowledge, they are not assigned. This development was developed to accommodate parking for both Phase 1 and Phase 2. They had to provide parking, 1 space for each bedroom. So it equals out to where every bedroom in this development would have 1 parking space.
But all of the parking is technically on-street in the right-of-way, but per our zoning code, that was something that they were allowed to do. Every parking space can be substituted in the right-of-way that's adjacent to the development if the city engineer approves it. He did approve it. That waives the requirement for off-street parking for this development, which would transfer over to the rest of our ordinances as well.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Brooks?
Good evening. Brooks Mache, live at 11105 Country Club Circle in Northport. Thank you for taking all 3 of them together too, by the way. There are 51 parks for basically 45 bedrooms, so we have a little bit over that.
Okay. And so will you be the one
I
on
will be
call?
the main contact. The original Phase 1, which we finished last August, we were just late for the students. That's our ultimate goal, is for students. But we were late for that, so we had a little learning process there. So we furnished all those and set those all up on short-term rentals. Tanner Ashcraft was our contact person. Worked with him pretty good. In the last several weeks, I've done a deep dive on him, and I feel very confident that I know.
You can cut Tanner out now.
You kind of know the process, yes. And Tanner's going to continue on with 3 of the original 7. We were fortunate enough this August to actually rent 3 of the 7 full-time to students, which was kind of a win-win. And for these 3, this is what we did not rent, so I didn't want to see them vacant for, till next August. So
I got you.
that was my motivation there.
No problem. Any questions for Brooks? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have anybody signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? Okay. So we'll close public comment and begin with Mr. Eatman, board comment.
I mean, beautiful property, great location. I don't have an issue with staff recommendation of 6 and 3.
I do not have a problem with staff recommendations either. It seems like an appropriate place.
I agree as well. I don't see any problem with it.
I have no issues. I'm in favor.
No issues.
Okay. So I'll read the first petition, we'll vote, and we'll read the second, and then the third, and we'll vote each time. ZBA-113-24, Brooks Mochette, petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 833 21st Avenue East, Zone MX-3, Council District 5, 6 adults, 3 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probation. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved. ZBA-114-24, Brooks Machette, petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 2024 8th, is that the right address? Okay. 2024 8th Place East, Zone MX3, Council District 5, 6 adults, 3 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probation. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved. ZBA-115-24, Brooks Machette, petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 2032 8th Place East, Zone MX-3, Council District 5, 6 adults, 3 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
All right, and our last case of the night is ZBA 11624. Demisha and Jamar Smith petitioned for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property at 2620 Berkeley Hills Drive. This property is zoned R1, Council District 6. Here we have the zoning of the property as well as the aerial view. We do not have any short-term rentals in the surrounding area. And then here we have a view of the house as well as that driveway parking area. So the petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the short-term rental of this dwelling. Demisha and Jamar Smith will be the primary contacts. They do not have experience managing short-term rentals. The house is equipped with cameras and keypad door locks. The house is owner-occupied, and the petitioners will be staying in Pelham, Alabama, when it is not being rented short-term. The house has 3 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms. The petitioner requests 4 adults and 4 vehicles. If approved, based on the parking, staff recommends 6 adults and 3 vehicles. We did receive 1 email, really 1 petition with 22 signatures on it, and then we do have the petitioners here in person.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, Demisha and Jamar Smith.
Good evening, how y'all doing?
All right.
Hello, I'm Demisha Smith,
Address?
107 Indian Creek Drive, Pelham, Alabama.
And I'm Jamar Smith, 107 Indian Creek Drive, Pelham, Alabama, and 2620 Berkeley Hills, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35404. And basically, we're new to this, so we bought a home in Pelham, and we rented out the house for 1 year after we moved out. And this past year, we haven't done anything to. We did some improvements, and I had family, friends, some military friends, and a couple nurses, doctors. They've asked about renting the home out, so we came up with the idea that we can do short-term rentals. And also with the city growing popular with short-term rentals, we decided to take a stab at it. And as far as us, I mean, I feel like we're very responsible adults. We haven't had any complaints from the neighborhoods from us. And I feel like anybody we rent out to 25 up, they will give the same courtesy. So we'll do our due diligence to make sure that happens. And if anything was to happen, we're close by, we're nearby, and we still have family and friends here in the city. So
So do you have somebody that can be here, like you guys will be in Pelham, but do you have anybody that can be here that can get there kind of quickly?
Yeah, I have one sister that stays 5 minutes away and another 10 minutes away. Her mom, her grandma, everybody, the whole family stays here. So. And when I have had somebody to come over, we'll just get the mail, pick up a package for me. It hasn't been a problem, so I haven't had any issues. And
Okay. You have to have rules and regulations posted?
yes, we printed them out. We have the rules and regulations. We have exit sign posted. We've done everything.
Okay. All right.
Have you ever rented this out long-term for more than 6 months or anything like that? This property?
Have we rented out long-term more than 6 months? It has been rented out,
To a family member.
yes,
We
to a
rented out
family
member. And the only issue I found with that, it wasn't money, it was just, when we go back in and you have kids involved, you gotta do all this makeup. So I felt like it'd be easier with the cleanup and taking care of the home if we're able to go check on it every few days or whatever. So I felt like that'd be easier instead of doing a long term and not knowing what we walk back into. So.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, we do have 2 people signed up in opposition. Michael Stith.
Yeah, I'm Michael Stith. I live at 2610 Berkeley Hills Drive, which is right next door. And I really like them. I've never had any issues with them or anything. The only issue I've ever had is people parking in the road in front of my house whenever parties going on or visits or something like that. And I've never understood why they didn't park in front of the house they were going to visit. I don't know. I know you can't control who parks in front of your house or anything. I understand that, but
Short-term rental, you can control it. They can't park on the street, short-term rental.
Okay. Well, I got a cell phone and a camera. So but anyway, we're just kind of concerned allowing an exception. We feel like can only lead to more requests for people wanting to have short-term rentals. And as you saw from the map, there are no other short-term rentals in the area. And our main concern is the parking aspect, and it's a narrow road coming up. You know, unfortunately, our house and their house is at the crest of a hill, and you gotta have some momentum coming up the hill, and then people leaving the neighborhood, you know, it's a real tight fit. So that is our main concern. And we also don't want to lose the character of our neighborhood. You know, we moved there in 1965, and, you know, other families have come and gone in that meantime, but we've always maintained a closeness, and it's, you know, it's a good, quiet neighborhood, and we would like to see that maintained. We would like residents to live in residential areas and renters to live in rental areas. I'm sure there are plenty of places in the city that you can rent and not have these problems, and instead in a quiet, peaceful neighborhood, you know, we're just concerned about, you know, it might seem like it'd be used for game day activities and things like that and wild parties, but maybe not. But we just are all opposed to that. And I guess you got the email with all the signatures from all the families that were opposed to this. Okay.
So you're not opposed to long-term rental, is that correct? You're only opposed to short-term rental?
Really, I'm opposed to any kind of rental. You know, most everybody else in the neighborhood has been there a long time, and we all know each other, and that they've been really nice neighbors. I don't have a problem with them per se, but it's just sometimes when you allow rentals, you don't know what you're getting, you know, and it's a chance that we don't really want to take. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have Marcy Daltrey.
Hello, my name is Marcy Doherty. I live at 2586 Berkeley Hills Drive, and my concern is not so much the people who are going to be living there as making sure that they know the regulations and follow the regulations. You've already stated that short-term rentals are not allowed to park on the street, but I want to reiterate what he said about the fact that our street has only our neighborhood only has one egress point. It's a pretty steep hill, and it's a pretty narrow road, and a couple of times I've been trying to get up to my house, which is at the top of the hill and then a little bit down, and you have to build up speed, and there's been like 2 cars double parked, like right in front of each other, so you can't actually get past them. And I live with my elderly mother, and a lot of the people in our neighborhood are let's just say we're getting older, and I'm concerned about emergency vehicle access because, you know, ambulances, fire trucks, they're wider than my car, and if my car can't get past, if there's traffic going both ways, it's an issue. Obviously, emergency vehicles would have sirens, and you'd pull off to the side, but still, it's a tight fit. Anyway, that's my concern, is that making sure that whoever does live there is aware that parking on the street is not allowed, and that emergency access would be maintained. Thank you for listening.
And that's all the people we have signed up to speak in opposition or for. Is there anybody else in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this petition? Okay, we'll close public comment at this time and go to board comment.
You know, again, this is always tough for me when there are none in the neighborhood and you got a large majority of the neighborhood that is against it. So, you know, I speak a lot to the character of the neighborhood, and I always think the people in the neighborhood decide the character of the neighborhood. So, as bad as I want to say yes, I want to hear what my other fellow board members have to say about it before I make a decision.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I've been on this board since short-term rental began, and I really have not seen any neighborhood that it has changed. I know you don't want it. I understand nobody wants it. The city did approve this as something that we have it has changed, and it is over the time that it's been in existence. I want to ask the city, has there been any complaints, short-term rental complaints, that have made us withdraw or made the city withdraw the license for short-term that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of that it's been approved and then the license has been revoked. There have been instances in which houses that have first applied to the board for their short-term rental or requested a renewal when we did that, that were denied based off of verified complaints, but that's a handful of properties.
Thank you. I particularly asked that because I wouldn't want my neighborhood changed either, at all, although I live around short-term rentals, a lot of them, and it has done nothing but improve the property for me, because short-term rental, they keep the property value up so they can short-term rental it. I'm really torn on this. I do want to hear what the other board members have to say. When a neighborhood shows up, and I appreciate you all showing up about your neighborhood, and you've lived there since the 60s, so I do understand, but I want to defer to the rest of the board.
For me, I look at it from both sides, okay? So when you own a property, you should be allowed to do with your property what you want to do. And so the options they have are long-term rental, which you can't control a long-term rental at all. That means that they can have parties, they can park on the street, they can do all kind of stuff when you have a long-term rental. The petitioner has stated they don't want to do long-term rental because they don't like how their house ends up looking after having long-term rental. So the next option that they looked at is short-term rental. The community is against short-term rental because of the capacity of the street. The thing about short-term rental, you have more control and say over short-term rental. Your options are they can't park on the street, so that's the first thing. So if you call 311 and report that there's parking on the street, or if they get any type of violations during the year probation, when they come up for renewal, usually we don't renew it if they've had some complaints. In doing this, the time that I've been on the board and the many, many short-term rentals, we've given this same advice when groups have come and they've petitioned and have been against short-term rental. And we have yet to have anyone, I mean, we had a room of 40 people that came and they tried their best to come up with a reason why they couldn't have short-term rental. And when the year passed and it came back up for renewal, no one showed up because they had no complaints. They had nothing that they could say how it deterred or was a detriment to their community. They just couldn't, and they tried their best, but they really couldn't find a reason why we couldn't renew it. So I say to you is that if you had a choice between long-term or short-term seems to be the better option because they only get 30 nights. So that's 365 days in a year, so only 335 is not going to be rented out. 30 days it will be rented out. 4 adults or 6 adults and 3 vehicles, that's all they can have there. They can't have a party. It can only be 6 adults if we were to approve it like that. So in looking at that, and I know that's no consolation when you don't want something in your neighborhood, but I'm just telling you that those are some of the options and what I'm weighing with it, how I'm looking at it in my decision-making process. So that's where I stand right now.
I agree with Board Chair. Again, we've been going over short-term rentals since, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years maybe. And when there's something new to your neighborhood, there's always, difficulty trying to adjust to it. But again, with what Board Chair said, with short-term rentals, there is more teeth in what you have to do. So if our long-term rent, people can park on the street, you can only have so many unrelated individuals, but if you have a family of 12, if they want to rent out to a family of 12 and everyone has a car, they can park in the driveway, on the street, what have you. Short-term rentals, we're saying, hey, it's 6 adults, no more. 3 vehicles, no more. You cannot park on the street. Coming over that hill, if it's a car parked in front of, if it's on the street, take a picture, forward it to 311. And I understand where, yes, we do have some neighborhoods where we pull the map up and there's no short-term rentals. We pull up a map and we might have 5. We pull up a map, we might have 25. At the end of the day, before there was 25, there was 1. And it's nothing that we can really do about it. But again, it's a probationary period. If there's any issues, report it to 311. And when it comes back for renewal, then at that point in time, it will be voted down. I have no issues. I'm in favor of 6 adults and 3 vehicles.
So I live in a historic district in Tuscaloosa, and I have 2 short-term rentals next to my house. And I've only had one problem. That's when they had an event where people had a loud car, but it was a car show. So I heard the cars coming and going. But the thing about the short-term rental was the house was improved much over what it was when it was long-term rental. And I've unfortunately had one of my short-term rentals go back to a long-term rental with students in it. And I can assure you, I would much rather have a short-term rental because, again, the houses are kept up better. There's only so many people can be there. Cars can't be on the street. When you let them rent long-term, like you said, it's just any other resident. They got 15 friends, they're gonna come park. Short-term rental, what do we say? 3 vehicles, that's it. So from the egress, ingress, I used to also live in an older neighborhood where you had that. If you parked, you couldn't get through, and the ambulances are concerned for older people. I understand that. So I think with knowing that it's gonna be in the driveway, that's gonna alleviate some of that. And if not, you call the city, and that'll be rectified. So I would just, I would say that I'm somewhat in favor of it because I would rather my neighbor do short-term than long-term.
I would ask about 4-2, since it's their first time and since there's opposition in the neighborhood, just as a compromise. Would you all, the Smiths, would y'all be okay with 4-2? Okay. 4 adults and 2 cars, 2 vehicles. Board, I don't know how you feel about that, but just whenever there's opposition with a neighborhood, I like for us to ease into it as lightly as we can to see how it works out. And if you got 4-2, that's as low as we can go. That's 4 people, that's and 2 cars. So that's not adding anything extra there. So I'd like to read the petition with that and see how the vote goes from there. ZBA closing board comments. ZBA, anybody else have any more comments or anything else? And local representative, we're going to need to have somebody local. Because of the concern of your neighbors, we need to make sure you have a local person that can be contacted. I'll put that as a condition as well. ZBA-116-24, Demisha and Jamar Smith petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 2620 Berkeley Hills Drive, zoned R-1, Council District 6, 4 adults, 2 vehicles, 30 nights, 1-year probation, with the condition of local representation. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved. We are adjourned.